Hey, in this video you're going to find out what it's like to stay in the present moment. What are the advantages of staying in the present moment? Why is it so hard to stay in the present moment? And some hints and tips and tricks on helping you to stay in the present moment. It's all about the present moment. It's all about right now, here. I'm Stephen Webb and I'm an inner peace guide, and I help people find a little in the storms of life. So first of all, what does it mean by staying in the present moment? Well, right here now is the present moment. Not when I recorded this, because that's gone, that's done. Right here now, you watching this is the present moment. I'm doing something else. I'm walking the dog, sorting out tea, meditating, partying, you name it. I'm doing something else right now. Sleeping or something. But what are you doing? Right now, you're sitting here watching this video. You're thinking, why is my dog scratching my computer? And you're probably not thinking that. You're probably thinking, what was that noise? But the present moment is right here, right now. And that's all we ever have. And you hear it on memes and you hear people say it and you see it in books and everybody always says it. All you have is the present moment. Well, it's true, because you cannot do anything any other time than the present moment. Like, I'm going to put my dog in a cupboard in a minute. If you watch the end of the video, see what happens to my dog by the end of it. So in the present moment is when we do everything. We can plan in the future. We worry about the future. We get anxious about the future. We fear it. And we have nostalgia, bias and all that about the past. And we want to revisit some of the past. We want to avoid the past. We don't want to be thinking about it. Most of the time we spend our time thinking about what's for tea, or what happened yesterday, or why did they say that to me, or what we're going to do when we get to the party or into the restaurant tonight, or the pub, or exam next week, or the interview, or when we go back to work and things like that. So we're always everywhere our mind is, other than here. And the thing is, with our mind, it knows no difference between the reality of what's really going on and thoughts. And the thoughts are what the mind thinks is real. So if you were to stay here and take a couple of deep breaths, and I say to you, well, picture yourself on a beach. Picture the grass on the beach. Picture, what kind of beach do you go to? Picture the sand on the beach, and you can feel it on your feet as you're walking along. You can feel the sun on your face. You can hear the kids playing. You can see kites flying. Hear the birds overhead. And as you're visualizing that, your body starts to think it's real. Just the same as if we're visualizing a bad experience or something that may happen. Our body starts to react in the same way. So I'm jumping the gun here a little bit. So the present moment is being here, right, present. So what does that actually look like? Well, about every 2 or 3 weeks, I go for a meal with my daughter in town. When we go there, I sit down, we turn our phones off, or put them in silent, we put them face down, as if they're not there. I listen to her, I talk to her, and vice versa. I am present 100% with her and what's going on during that meal. I'm interested in what she's been up to. I'm interested in what she's doing. She's a trainee dental nurse, so I'm interested in how that's going. Am I interested in dental nursing? No. I'm not a teeth person. But I'm interested in her and her life. So I'm present with her and listening to my daughter. Another example is walking the dog. I could walk the dog and I could be thinking about how to cook tea, what we're going to have for tea, what we're going to do next week, what we're going to dress up as for fancy dress for the new year, things like that. Or we can walk the dog and we can feel the sun on our face. We can feel the wind and the cold. We can ask questions, what's going on inside? We can appreciate the trees and the nature and the smells. That's been present. But we tend to be talking about the past or talking about the future or what we're going to do. And you miss the walk. It's the same when we drive somewhere. How many times have you, leave a message in the comments, how many times have you driven somewhere and you cannot remember driving through 5 or 6 towns? And seriously, you're in charge of this vehicle that is deadly, that can go fast, and yet you weren't even present. How irresponsible are you? It's crazy, isn't it? And then suddenly we get pulled back to the present moment when someone makes a mistake and jumps out in front of us or does something like that. Pulls out in front of us, makes us stop, makes us slow up suddenly. Or we go down the road and we see ambulances or police cars or something like that. We're suddenly like, oh, present now. I better concentrate on my driving. Perfect time of being present. And how awkward it feels is when a policeman's following you. You know, all day long, you've been driving along and indicating, doing all your other things, possibly. And then a policeman's behind you. Yeah, it's crazy. And that's been present. Probably not the best example, but my God, are you there? Don't talk to me. There's a policeman behind me. Is he still behind me? Is he turned off yet? Is he looking at me? You're frightened to look in the mirror just in case, like, get your eyes on the road. You get my point. The difference between being present and here. And there's many other ways we want to be present. We want to be present when we're with a meal with a partner, going out on a date, when we're making love, when we're watching movies, when we're eating meals that we really like. You know, and a perfect example is meals. We have this wonderful takeaway or someone spends hours on this wonderful meal. And we sit there and we gobble it down in front of the telly. And someone says, was that nice? You go, yeah. What did you think of the new nuts I used in it? Oh, I didn't notice. No, because you gobbled it down that quick, mouthful after mouthful, that you did not savour it. You weren't present. You weren't there. You were in the movie or doing something different. So that's what being present means. It's knowing what's going on outside of you, knowing what's going on inside of you, knowing and feeling the emotions as they arise, seeing things for what they are as opposed to what you want to make them. So what are the advantages of being present? Well, if I elaborate on some of the things I've spoken about already, well, the advantages of being present when you're eating a meal is you get to taste it, you get to savour it, you get to enjoy all the different little parts of it. You know, what does it smell like? What is each mouthful different? Is it, you know, just all the different aromas and the spices and all the different things, and you get to appreciate what goes into it. Then I'll mention mindfulness a little bit later on. Mindfulness will go deeper into it. Is how did the meal get here? The time put into it. You know, all the different ingredients that have all come together. And the chain back going to it. It's appreciating and realizing the whole chain back. You know, you cannot have a piece of toast, a decent piece of toast, without the electric company, the toaster, the bread makers, the person that made the toast. Maybe it was you, maybe someone done it for you. The cows and the butter and I was trying to think what goes into toast. Flour and milk and eggs. Without the farmers and all that. So to really be mindful, you would go back in depth and not just eat the piece of toast mindlessly. And that's what it means to be in the present moment. Driving a car. You enjoy the villages you drive through. You enjoy the journey. Very often, you never go to a concert to get to the end of the concert and go and to skip the main music. You go to the concert to enjoy the whole concert. So we get in the car and we only want to be at the end of the journey. Well, you can't get to the end of the journey any quicker. If you want to avoid it, you can't. So you may as well enjoy the journey. You may as well put on some tunes and relax and enjoy the journey. Some of the other advantages are you'll get less anxious, because when we're living in the future, we create in our minds what possibly might happen. And we go through loads of different scenarios. And most of the scenarios are normally bad, because evolutionary, we're designed to focus on the negative so we survive. And I always use this analogy, is you've got two bears running towards you, one with donuts, one with something that can hurt you. You better focus on the one that can hurt you and worry about why the other bear hasn't ate the donuts himself later. So that's why we create scenarios in our heads constantly of what might go wrong. So then the body thinks, oh my God, all these things are going wrong in my life. But they're not, because they're not happened, and most of them won't happen. Only one outcome can happen to any one thought, any one situation, at any one moment. But we create these 10, 20, 30 scenarios, and then we're terrified of them all because we only find one that's good. All the rest are terrible. It's crazy, humans. We're all crazy. We're all mental. What else? It avoids overwhelm. Now then, we get so overwhelmed. Overwhelm is, oh my God, I've got to do everything. I've got a party coming up for my daughter, and I've got to book the clowns. I haven't. She's 21. I'm just talking metaphorically. I've got to book the clowns. I've got to book all the different things. I've got to pay for it. I've got to get the invitations out. I've got to work and feed the children and eat myself and live and pay the bills, do everything. And suddenly we've got to do all that in the present moment. We don't. We can only do one thing at a time. So when we live in the present moment, what can I do right now? Well, you can only do one thing. I can't pay my bills and record this video. I can't make a phone call and record this video. I can only record this video. So living in the present moment stops overwhelm. It also, living in the present moment, stops us living in the past and dreaming of this nostalgia bias of how it used to be, how great it used to be. Well, we have this thing called, I just said, nostalgia bias. And we tend to look back at the past in a favourable way. When I was younger, the summers were longer, we spent more time on the beach, the chocolate bars were bigger. No, that's true actually, the chocolate bars. 30% less calories? Yeah, that's because there's 30% less chocolate bar. Sorry. And we go back into this nostalgia bias. But the reality is, we spent most of the summer in the rain. It wasn't very nice. But the 2 days we did get to the beach, we remember. So we believe the summers when we were 7, 8, 9 years old, we spent them all on the beach because that's the primary thing we remember. And we do it with relationships. I need to get out of the relationship. It's a terrible relationship. 3 weeks later, wasn't that bad? Because you're remembering the good things in the relationship and you're compressing and ignoring the bad things. So we have a feeling of depression because I don't want to live there anymore. I don't want to live here. I want to live where I used to live. It was so much better. The grass was green. It didn't need mowing so often, and the weather was warmer, and everybody was nicer. People were polite. There was no criminals. We know the reality of that is not true. But that's the way we feel. Also, another advantage of living in the present moment is we get to enjoy the present moment. You know, you go out for a date, or you have a relationship, or you have the honeymoon in a new relationship. And instead of living in the future when you believe it's all going to go wrong, we enjoy the time when it's together. How many of you, and me also, I'm guilty of every single one of these things. You're really enjoying the relationship, but you lie there and you think, this ain't going to last very long. And then we create the scenario where it doesn't last because your mind thinks whatever you think up, it wants to do, so it creates it. But that's a whole different video. I might do that video next week for you. Let me know in the comments if you want to do that video next week. Why we fulfill our self-prophecies and why we create our own pain and create our own victim and create our own destiny as well. Because if we create the bad, we can create the good. But let's go back to why living in the present moment is an advantage. So instead of trying to, instead of instead of living in the future where everything's broken down and already gone, we're enjoying the moment when we're still together and we're still enjoying life. And the same as when things are not going well, instead of wishing and getting out of it and just hoping for things to get better, we learn the lessons of those bad times. So we don't have to go there again, or if we do go there, we have the muscles and strength to deal with them. So there's so many advantages of living in the present moment. And not only that, it just feels great. What feels better? Oh, I've got so much to do. I'm absolutely knackered. I don't know how I'm going to get back to work. It's just tiring. Or I have nothing to do now but listen to this video. You tell me, which one's better? I can guess. So why is it so hard to stay in the present moment? Well, two reasons mainly. Humans have evolved brilliantly. This is why we're the top of the hunting pack. We've evolved this timeline in our minds to predict the next few seconds ahead. But nowadays we now predict way further ahead. But it's not really a prediction in the way of Nostradamus and things like that. It's a prediction of how can I see my near future so I don't get hurt, killed, maimed or something like that. You know, it was handy for the hunters to predict those few seconds ahead, to be able to visualize, the last time we went into that forest, one of our mates got his leg chewed off. What a thought. Where did that come from? Back to the present moment. And it's handy for them to recognize the forest. So humans evolved this ability to have a past and a future. And this timeline that we think is linear. There's no linear timeline, it's just here. It's just now. And no, I don't subscribe to time doesn't exist and all that. Time is in hours, days, months, years and all that. That's all made up by us to make it convenient so we don't miss the train. But time, to some degree, does exist because you have entropy where things fall apart, that things change over time. Without that, I could not say a word, I could not speak, I could not have a thought unless time, because there's no change if there's no time. I'm going slightly off tangent here, but that's what I do. That's what our minds do, right? So why is it so hard to stay in the present moment? So we're designed to do it. So we've got to teach ourselves to go back to the present moment. We've got to build up this neural network. And I'll give you some tips in a minute of doing that. But also, we spent 40 years or 30 years, I don't know how old you are, doing that exact thing, making scenarios up, working out things. Everybody asks the questions, what are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing next week? What are you going to do for your career and life? You know, at the age of 17, you've got to make a decision what you're going to do for the next 40 years. Yikes. I don't know what I'm doing next Friday. And the most interesting people I know don't know what they're doing next Friday. Leave some room in your life for things to go on a tangent. Tangents are fun. So, you know, it comes down to we're so used and we're so stuck into the what we're going to do for tea, what we're going, the planning. We got a director in our heads constantly narrating our lives, planning our lives. And you're not alone. Everyone has one. Everyone that tries meditation sits down and goes, after about 3 seconds, no, I can't do it. Think too much. Try again. No, I'm now on Facebook. Now I'm in my head. Now I'm talking and thinking. It's normal. Everybody thinks too much when they sit down to meditate. So I help people meditate. I help people to see the truth behind meditation rather than the myths like no thinking. You don't want no thinking. That's like asking your heart not to beat. No thinking means you're dead. Not good. So let's move on to some hints and tips and tricks on how we can stay in the present moment. Well, we have a mobile device on us, most of us do. We can set a timer hourly, 2 hourly, just a little charm. And what do we do when that goes off? Just a little beep. What do? We just... What am I feeling right now? And just wait for an answer. You can even ask your foot, hey foot, how are you doing right now? And let your foot answer you and then say thank you for walking me around today. It's a bit different with me. I'm paralysed. So when I ask my foot what it's doing, it goes, I'm bored. Can we do something? I've had this same shoe on for 5 years and it's not even worn in yet. But yeah, you get the point. You can ask your body to do things. Not ask your body to do things. You can ask your body questions. And you can do the same with the outside. What can I hear? What can I see? What am I thinking? And do it for 3 or 4 seconds and then move on. Carry on with your day. And we can do it in traffic lights. Oh, red traffic lights, wonderful. I can sit here and I can watch the cars go by. I can watch the cars come up and down. I can watch the people in the cars. I can see the sky and the clouds. I can be 100% present. Don't daydream. That's different. Not I'm going in the clouds and I'm thinking about everything. No, just be absolutely present with what's happening. Otherwise you're going to miss the light going green again and you're going to have someone honking at you. Another way is, one of my favourite ones is when you approach the door, pause at the door. Grab on the door, take a deep breath, open the door, let a breath out, and then walk through. You could even say thank you door. Without you being there, I'd have had to go through the wall, which would have hurt. So you get the point. There's so many little things. But I love the one most of all is just ask questions. What's going on right now? What am I thinking right now? What's happening right now? And you can even go deeper on this when you're on a walk with your dog or your hamster or something. If that's what you do, walk hamsters, you might do. Not judging you. I'm not judging you. Just let me know if you walk your hamster. Look at the bird in the tree and go, what can the bird see? If I was a cat now, what would I do? And all these things create the brain, create a neural network on bringing the brain back to what we're doing right now. What's going on right now? And I have a wonderful way of you doing that. I have 3 meditations that you can download completely free that will either help you through difficult days or you just have a little more relaxing and chilling out. Head over to my website, stephenwebb.com. If you can subscribe to my channel, just click subscribe there and click the little bell that you get notified when I upload a new video. And the videos are all about this, about creating a little more in life. Do you not have a really present moment? You can't have the present day because the day doesn't exist yet, only now exists. Deep breath. Namaste.